Bitcoin is at the top side of the derp zone once again, and the question of the day is Bitcoin ready to break out on this lovely little Tuesday? Is things going to change? Is things going to change? Maybe things are going to change, perhaps, as we go over in today's statistical breakdown, as well as for the month as well, to kind of look at the holistic picture of where Bitcoin and by extension the rest of the cryptocurrency market is generally at as of right now. Anyways, as you can see in the background, maybe a bit of a facelift over here as we do some changes. However, let's actually get into the content of the day. I do want to start off with the October statistics. Today, we're not going to be going over the Bitcoin October lows, which on average come around the 10th day of the month of October, which thus far has been the 10th day of October. Not that things have to play around the average every fucking time, but, gives you a general idea. But now I want to shift focus to when, on average, the Bitcoin October highs typically come in around, which is the third week of October. So as Bitcoin rallies here, we should be aware that this rally is it would be better to expect on average for this rally not to end at least until we get to day number 21 of this month. Or somewhere around there, which gives us another 6 days or so, basically until next Monday. Now, can we see it coming a little bit later than that? Yeah, sure. As you can see, when the weekly trend, but when the macro trend is up, the high on average comes in a little bit later, around between the third and fourth week of October. So yes, I would say that Bitcoin has a legitimate chance here to break out. Maybe not necessarily today as we go into the price statistics, but overall, we should be expecting that this is more or less the move, especially with Bitcoin at the top side of the range. That would imply that a breakout from here likely does get real continuation, especially off of, what seems to be a pretty important higher low right here. Anyways, daily statistics Tuesday has actually been certainly more favored in terms of negative closures than positive closures, with 58.5% of all Tuesdays since 2024 began closing negatively, for the highest negative return as well, on average losing about 2.65% for those positive gaining Tuesdays, which is only 41.5% of those gaining an average of about 185. So what am I saying here? Bitcoin, if it wants to pull back on a Tuesday, this would be the day for it to do that, especially as you do, as you see a test around that last prior high for the price action guys out there, and then also the statistical guys, the HPDR, testing towards the top side of the range. These are, normal things be happening, but what happens after that will surprise you. What happens after that is the actual important thing. So from today's open, if Bitcoin were to play around those averages to the downside, that could mean a pullback perhaps all the way down to about $64,500 or maybe even low $64,000. Wouldn't really do all that much for structure, just a pullback. And of course, to the upside, if Bitcoin were to play 185 to the upside, that would actually confirm a breakout on a new high for the daily time frame here. And at that point, to answer the question of this video title, a good clickbait, 70K on the way, and probably much more than that as well. So fair enough. But if we're going off of what's more likely, Tuesday pullback, Wednesday maybe even a pullback as well. Wednesday's actually the worst day, in fact, for negative closures, but it's very small. Still has pretty high average returns for the positive ones, but throughout the rest of the week, we probably would be expecting a real attempt to the upside from here, which would include very likely a breakout. It's just very little space between here and the top side of the derp zone. As we go over in this chart right here, you can see Bitcoin right around $66,500 on yesterday's high, closing above there. Yeah, the derp zone is resolved to the upside in this case, and you should be getting ready for a move at that point. Maybe not necessarily like in the next fucking tick, but overall somewhere between about $69,000 to just over $70,000. Again, do I think that things stop there? Probably not, but by the virtue of testing that last prior high from July, just a prior high from July, you're going to get a little bit of selling action, very, 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 very likely. But again, one thing before the next, this is probably a little bit further away, maybe closer to that third week or past the third week of this month of October. But, things are kind of setting in the background, which is, well, in my opinion, good for the BULAs, at least. Looking at or following up on some of our other oscillators, I do want to call out that the 5-day time frame for CME continues to hold on and rally off of that red 5 exponential moving average. On top of that, we did identify the hidden bullish divergence come off the last major low. This one's still playing out. And as we saw last week, Bitcoin actually confirming back above this exponential right here and bouncing off of the neutral zone. These are all signals that this is very, very likely, at least at minimum, even if this was super fucking bearish, to have an RSI test somewhere around the edge of the bullish control zone. which we can actually forecast that, what price would be around that region. However, it will update with each and every passing closure, which we'll get a new one tomorrow. So this number will change, but I'll let you know the number regardless. Enters bull zone above. Yeah, if it were to enter on this literal period, which is very, very unlikely, very fucking unlikely. Okay, just very fucking unlikely. Just reading some numbers here. It would require a price of 76,700 basically. So unlikely. Unlikely in my opinion. Anyways, moving on from there, should also be known that the 5-day stochastic oscillator continues to the upside. Again, not closing tonight, but tomorrow, assuming that Bitcoin does close above 57,400, which right now it's healthily above. Remember, we did identify this break of the long-term regression holding in the highs since March, since the all-time highs in March, again connected with the highs in June and again in August. That was broken on this last move, kind of forecasting this overall shift late September. We didn't see obviously the move fall through in late September, but overall giving that bias towards upside continuation. So this very likely continues here. Pivot for spot price actions a little bit higher. That would be basically $61,000. And then last thing I'll leave you with, of course, because Bitcoin did hold on to that 5 exponential moving average right here with the last closure, or the last couple of closures, I should say. This setup is still very much active, still very much available, and that does imply that any sort of major move that we're going to see on Bitcoin is going to start with a closure above the 5 exponential and using that to essentially ride above. Doesn't mean that every time that happens, it's going to be a massive fucking move with this humongous average return, but if there is going to be a major move, it happens like that. So let me give you some examples right here, because it's been massively misunderstood by some very interesting people out there in the world. But if you're going to see a major move like this, like you saw from January of this year to the highs in March, which by the way did not close there obviously, but closing even over here in April, that was a 50% move. And again, catalyzed by that first closure above starting in late January. Same thing with this major move over here. Again, catching and riding that 5 exponential the whole way off. This one getting almost all of it. Again, another 50% move right there. However, yes, sometimes you will get very, very small moves. That does happen. But this is the sort of, I like looking at this just because it gives a good indication as to when, to expect the potential for a major massive move. And even when it does lose, you can see that these are, relatively speaking, although in nominal terms they do get quite large, just because Bitcoin's trading at big numbers, but they're very small losses right here, very small losses here, and this one does have a less than 50% probability to even win on any singular trade. Of course, we're using the tool over here. Maybe we might be renaming it. In fact, it's going to get a massive facelift, and I think there's going to be a lot of exciting things going on with that. But in this case, you can actually automate this shit. So don't even have to worry about it. You just let your damn bot slave trade for you, and then you go about your life. Well, you still need to obviously, do some work on that. But ultimately, this is an example of something that you actually could do with that. Although there is much more functionality and much more optimizations that you should really be applying if you're going to be getting into anything like that. It's not for lobotomized morons. I'll just say that out loud. It's not for lobotomized people or morons, and definitely not lobotomized morons, because it's gonna be a fucking pain, man. It's gonna be a fucking pain to set that shit up. Anyways, yes, I think I've said everything that I want to say about Bitcoin for today. Again, the derp zone, it's right there. Today, probably not today, but perhaps tomorrow or Thursday is going to be the days that I'd be mindful of, or definitely Friday. I think there's some sort of moon bullshit going on around Thursday or Friday as well. So perhaps we'll see. Anyways, a good place for me to be leaving off on this video. Again, reminding myself to say that if you're trying to reach out to support during this time, I apologize. Elsa she's bedridden right now. It's nothing serious, just a bit of a surgery. And so she will probably be more in action tomorrow, but she's gonna be slow for a while. Got to give her a little bit of time. So I apologize if you're trying to reach out via email. It's gonna take probably at least another day. And then she's got to work through all of the shit from the past 4 to 5 days. So it might take a while. But as I said, I understand the frustrations. Just trying to get through. We promise, whatever it might be, it'll be handled in a respectable manner, and whatever it is, whatever it could possibly be, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, and you'll be happy when she gets back to you. All right, cool. Yes, good place to leave it off. Yeah, wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow, maybe even for a live stream.